What do a train station and a federal disaster agency have in common? They both just sent up warning flares about how power tightens and how dissent gets silenced. Let's start in Washington, D.C. On August 27th, the Transportation Department announced it would assume station management oversight at Union Station through the Federal Railroad Administration, while Amtrak continues passenger operations and a separate entity manages the retail. It's part of a broader federal push to, in their words, make the city safe and beautiful. But context matters. This comes alongside a growing National Guard presence in the Capitol. Soldiers now tasked with removing trash, painting over graffiti, even mulching flower beds on federal land. It may look like maintenance, but it's also a tightening of federal control over the public spaces at the heart of American civic life. And legally, they can do it. The Constitution gave Congress exclusive legislation over the seat of government. And in 1954, the Supreme Court upheld that power in Berman v. Parker, ruling that Congress could make the Capitol beautiful as well as sanitary. That precedent is now being used not just for zoning, but for reordering civic space under quiet federal command. Now let's head over to FEMA. On August 25th, about 180 current and former FEMA employees signed an open letter warning that recent leadership changes are political interference and were threatening the agency's ability to respond to disasters. The next day, more than a dozen of those signers were placed on administrative leave. That's not just bureaucratic drama, that's a message. Raise internal concerns at your own risk. And here too, the law is supposed to protect dissent. Federal Statute 5 U.S.C. 7211 guarantees civil servants the right to petition or furnish information to Congress without interference. It's a safeguard rooted in the First Amendment. But when those protections are ignored in practice, what happens to the institutions we rely on when the waters rise or the fires come? Ambition must be made to counteract ambition. James Madison, Federalist 51. That was his warning. The whole design of our government rests on the belief that power must be checked by power. That internal resistance between branches, between perspectives, is what keeps a republic stable. But that only works when dissent is allowed to surface. Today, we're watching civic space get more managed and institutional truth-tellers pushed to the margins. So the question isn't just what happens to a train station or a disaster agency. It's this: what happens when the places and people meant to serve the public become instruments of silence instead? What does it take to keep dissent alive and make sure power still has to listen?